This is Scott McEwen. He's an artist, a teacher, and a wrestler who happens to be gay. This is his story.
I like to play the role of the underdog. Okay, not play the role. I think that's the role that I've inhabited, okay, for most of my life. In some ways, okay? Not so much now. It's changed, actually. If there's a role reversal that's happened, I'd say, over the past 6 years.
Well, I remember him being sick a lot, for sure, and, sort of being protective of him that way, walking home from school and he couldn't breathe and carrying him home a couple of times.
Scott suffered from severe asthma as a child.
Trips to the hospital. Many trips to the hospital.
Yeah.
I remember spending a lot of time there.
Through high school, he was a bit of a loner, and that's where he found something in working hard. And, he was always a very, bright little boy.
He wasn't the kid that was going to parties. He wasn't the kid that was going out for teams. And yes, it was somehow related to his health, but it was also related to the fact that, I don't know people, and maybe people are not going to want to know me.
While at high school, Scott came to terms with his sexuality and found his voice through his art.
Being in an environment that at that time that I didn't really fit into, made me ponder my sense of self more than if I fit in. Okay. Right? So it actually helped me decide I want to be an artist. And I remember I made one piece where I went to the Goodwill and I took an old crappy picture. It was like a picture frame, and there was a cardboard crappy landscape that was, like one of those cheesy tacky paintings. Yeah. And I whited it all out, as if I was making a fresh surface to start painting on. And I remember I made a picture of this boy alone in a green room. And I didn't think too much about it at the time. But then one day I went home from school and I said, oh my God, my bedroom's green. And that boy in the picture is me. And that's my window. And it was this painting where it was about not being out enough, right? And a bit of loneliness too. The thing that I also learned because of that, I had time to sit down and think, because I didn't participate in all those big activities, was that life is a long journey, and I didn't have to do it all in 5 years of high school.
Scott recalls those memories from high school and uses them to help him as a teacher and a mentor.
Being a teacher, you actually, to relate to students, you have these flashbacks to when you're a student, which is an interesting thing because it actually helps you interact with these kids.
But Scott was always very encouraging and helpful to help you explore new mediums and new styles. Like, he noticed I was very meticulous and nitpicky and kind of a perfectionist when it came to my artwork, and then eventually he said, just go wild and don't let any of those boundaries restrain or.
When my son started there in grade 10, my son Callum, Callum was really loving the art class. And I soon realized that a large part of it was not so much the Ontario curriculum, it was Scott.
The one thing that I like to focus on is getting to know the things that they want to tell me about, that's going on in their lives. So it helps me put them into context so that when I'm teaching them, working on a project with them, I can bring some of their life into their projects, and they do them, and they learn from them. So that plays a major role in my teaching philosophy, is having a comfort with their identities and their world.
He is so nurturing, I think, because of his sexuality, and so empathic and compassionate. because he understands so much about discrimination and so on. So for teenage kids that are going through, you know, those horrors of the teenage years of feeling inadequate and insecure and so on, he was a great support.
The body of work I did at York University evolved from the death of a friend. I had a friend who passed away from AIDS. And he died, I suppose, when he was about 27. And Bob, his name was Bob Andrews, was very flamboyant, very gregarious, well-dressed, he was handsome. And he was the first really comfortable, realized gay man that I had the opportunity to know. Like when I was in high school, we had that issue of people being closeted. He really allowed me to realize that I can be that full person like he was.